How big of a okay? So, in your opinion, how how big of how big is racism in our country as a
Racism. Oh, I. Hmm. Well, let's go ahead and address the elephant in the room. Because I have a light skin tone, there's going to be a lot of people that just completely disregard my opinion no matter what. Whether that it's valid for them to do so is irrelevant. It's just they're going to do that.
Yeah, regardless.
Even though I'm actually mixed race. So it's something...
Yeah, I'm a full-blooded minority, so...
Yeah. I think it's an interesting thing, like the idea of minorities, right? Because it depends on your sample set. If you were to take, let's say, Southeast LA,
Okay.
what's the dominant demographic?
Southeast LA?
Specifically, like, what would be the dominant, or the most proliferate demographic?
Hispanic.
Right? So
Hispanic.
then what would be the minority there?
White.
Right? So, I mean, we can...
Well, they claim African American, but... You know, I think... I would say it's white.
So, it's a statistics, it's a numbers game.
Right, of course.
Yeah, it depends on how you select your sample set that what becomes a minority, in a sense. If you look at college campuses, for instance, me being, or at least appearing to be a cisgendered white male, they'd assume that I'm the majority, when in fact actually women are overwhelmingly the majority on campus, regardless of which one you choose.
Yeah.
So, right? So, I don't know. Getting to the what you asked though, is racism a big deal? I think it is, but I think that's actually ties to what we're talking about with technology. Of that, I think technology has made it a big issue.
Well, you know, I remember this quote that my favorite actor Will Smith, or one of my favorite actors Will Smith, said a couple years ago. I think this was after the Michael Brown shooting up in was it St. Louis? Sorry.
Something like that. Whatever.
Yeah, anyways,
Ferguson.
Oh, Ferguson. Yeah.
Ferguson.
I was close.
Yeah, it's a suburb.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anyways, one of the things he said was, racism is not getting worse; it's getting filmed.
Interesting.
You know, but more and more, I'm seeing more documentaries about the civil rights movement.
Yeah.
It's been coming up a lot lately, which I think is cool because I support the civil rights movement, or from its history, and but as far as, I have to agree with Will Smith, because you got people always protesting police brutality, and all this bad stuff, all this racism, but you try to look back in our history books, it's been going on for a while. The civil rights movement, they had dogs, they had water hoses, I haven't seen that out here, in our society.
Yeah. I think that's an interesting thing, because I was watching a interview of Morgan Freeman. He was on whatever Don Lemon's show, and his thing is that if somebody really wants to get out of a net negative environment because of whatever their demographic is, like, Dude, the bus runs every day. You want to get out of Southeast LA, you want to get out of like Chicago. Central Chicago, like you want to get out of those places, like, which I just saw a news report today about a candidate to be elected as the attorney general was mugged. Him and his whole like camera crew team were mugged of all their valuables in broad daylight in Chicago. Like, I mean, like, you want to get out of that? Like, the bus is running. Like, if you live, like, you're in a tough spot in Brooklyn, or you're in a, like, just get on the whatever train and just get off at wherever you're not. And just, obviously, it's reductionist. It's not that simple, but it is, I mean, there is a little bit of that. Like, if you want to get out of your situation, get out of your situation, right?
Of course. I mean, you got ways.
Yeah, I mean,
there's a way out.
There's something you can do. There's always something you can do. And that's a big part of a lot of what, like,
or at least improve where you're at.
Yeah. So when I got married, I actually live near where you live, and like
happens to be one of the worst places in our city. In our town.
It's a rough area. And we had gunshots. Guy lived across from us had a
it's a rough neighborhood.
Had a doobie card, and he would deal with it, and everybody knew it. And then we started having police drive-through patrols come through like every other day, and busted out windows, and people breaking into cars and stealing stuff. Like, they'd break into your car just to steal the change out. So like all that was a thing. There was Iron Butt for a while. That was a little before my time. You know what Iron Butt is?
Can you explain it briefly?
No. So there was this guy on Loughborough. The cars would be parked on the street, right? And he would go around and he would just sit on people's windshields until it would bust. And that was his thing. That's why they called him that. Yeah. So weird things happen. The store that I work for was closed down today because of shoplifting and stuff. Like, stuff happens all the time.
Yeah, of course. I mean, no matter where you live,
there's always stuff going on.
Yeah, no matter.
I think boiling it down to race is a little bit reductionistic. I think there's definitely classism, poor people versus the rich people in some ways, but
the 1% versus the 99%. The way I see it.
Yeah, but then you can ask the question of that: is that really a thing? Like, is that really even that seems to be a little reductionistic. So, but I mean, getting back to, like, I think it is a little bit, it's overblown on technology. I think that one of the things about being connected to people, like, it used to be, if you lived in California, you would never meet somebody from Texas, for instance. You would never meet someone from New York City. You would only see them through your television. And so as a result, you have a window to watch them through, but not to interact with. Then the internet comes along, and so now I have the ability to communicate on a regular basis with a person who lives in Austria, for instance.
Skype or what have you.
And I mean, it goes from the person who would live in Kansas and has never seen the ocean in their whole life, lives, dies, grandchildren live, die, never seeing the ocean waves. Now, with airline travel as well, we've been more connected than ever. Like, you want to have a winter in Hawaii, get a timeshare. And I think as a result, because we feel that connectedness, we also, it's kind of like we're losing, or we're kind of giving away a little bit of what made us that local identity.
What we truly are.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's a good thing or not. In some ways, it's exposed. Like, I know that there are certain towns in Alabama that still have, like, KKK parades and stuff, which is, now that the world's able to see into those, like, they're not doing those as much. But I don't know. Like,
okay, here's an interesting topic.
Okay.
How about this? So through technology, I have found out so many things, or so many conspiracy theories regarding the U.S. government.
Okay.
Like, for instance, 9/11,
Mm-hmm.
JFK,
Okay.
Stuff like that.
Okay.
On that level. To a point where I'm starting to question, what I learned in school,
Okay.
what I learned on the news.
Is that good or is that bad?
Both ways, because you're starting to realize that as a kid I used to think that the U.S. was such a great country. I mean, I was so patriotic, and now I'm just like, man, I'm
not digging it anymore.
No, I'm just this country isn't what I thought it was.
Yeah.
And now I'm starting to realize that I can have a conversation with somebody about saying, oh, JFK was killed by our own government. Oh, 9/11 was an inside job by our government.
Mm-hmm.
And the person I'd speak to sitting right across from me would know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, I would not see a shocked reaction from them.
Interesting.
And, there's been polls lately that say, I think a poll came out early, I think it was last year, that over 70% of Americans believe that 9/11 was an inside job. Maybe it was less, but...
Yeah, I think that I've seen similar numbers to that. Zach Van Houten.
Yeah.
He's he's a 9/11 truther all the way. And that makes it really weird to have conversations with him. Which I've had on, not on YouTube. I haven't gotten any of those onto YouTube, but I have had a few with him. But it is an interesting thing of that. What I always get to in those conversations of granting full faith. Let's say 9/11 was an inside job. The government caused the 2,000 plus American lives lost, the destruction to the buildings, all that stuff. All those things happened.
Shot a missile into its own military headquarters.
I mean, assuming that all those things are true, what does that change?
It changes how we see human nature.
Does it?
Or at least the people who are on top.
Because I think in some ways, so is it even a stretch of the imagination that a government throughout history would have done something like that?
Do I think they're capable of it? Yes, I do. Why do they have a mind to do it? I do not know.
Right? The motivation is always the thing that comes back to it of but why? Alright. Is there anything else? I don't know.
No, I mean, we could either stop it here or we can just continue on for the next segment.
Cool. I don't know what's going to happen now. I'm going to cut these into several episodes, quite frankly, probably 15,
almost an hour and a half.
Yeah, there's a lot of talking here.
Yeah.
And my hand is big because it's close to the
yeah,
I'm going to cut them into small pieces, and so they're easier to watch and stuff.
Are you still recording?
Yeah. And so I don't know, if you guys hated this conversation, you're going to hate it even more over the entire time that it takes.
And I'm not
to
done.
get the whole thing.
I mean, we're not done. We're just getting started.
So we'll see what happens over time, and how much of it makes it out there, and how much of it gets me banned from YouTube. But anyways.
Or might get recognized.
Yeah, that'd be weird. Yeah. I don't know who would recognize me because nobody watches my videos. But if you like this, cool. If you don't,
comment, subscribe.
I love hate mail. So, yeah.
Peace out.
Peace.
Nice meeting all you.
Anything? Any last words?
Yeah. Nice meeting you all. You ain't seen the last of me. And go Steelers. I don't know.
Wow, you're a heretic.
I just don't want the Patriots to win the Super Bowl.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I'm pretty sure the Titans lost tonight. I'm pretty sure they
well,
did.
it was like, 28-7 when we last checked?
Yeah, which I didn't have a whole lot of hope for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Patriots. What can you do?
Yeah, I mean, they did pull off a big upset, but...
Yeah.
Anyways, I'll probably have this whole end card. I'm probably just going to put it on the end of every video
Mm-hmm.
so you guys get used to how annoying my voice is each time. But anyways.
See, even I get annoyed.
Yeah, it's true. It's because he's wearing a Raiders sweater.
Yeah, and I'm at his house.
Yeah, in my house.
Yeah. Your house.
My house. All right. Anyways, peace.
Deuces to all you.